are just a separate self in a vast universe of other, if your only power to change things is to exert a force on a mass, then you are not very powerful. Maybe if you marshal great force to your command, you can be a little bit more powerful. But if you're trying to change the world, hey, I'm sorry, the powers that be have more force than you do. They have the money, they have the guns, they have the surveillance state, they have the media, they have the armies, they have the prisons. They have more force than you do. How are you possibly going to win against that? And what does it matter what you, as one individual, does? You're just one little mass pusher. You can't do much. But when we step into a new story that I like to call Interbeing, I believe a term coined by Thich Nhat Hanh, this story of interbeing, when we understand that we are not separate selves, that we are the mirrors, the reflections, the holographic image of everything and everyone, when we understand that anything that we do affects everything, that every act has cosmic significance, that anything that's happening to any being on this planet is happening to ourselves. When we understand that, then we begin to step into our true power. And this is not necessarily something that an intellectual argument can convince you of. It has to happen to you through one of these miracles, through one of these synchronicities that drop your jaw, through a healing experience that delivers a powerful invitation that says reality wasn't what you thought it was. When that happens, when that invitation happens, then yeah, it is useful to have a new story, which I call interbeing. A different answer to who you are, a different answer to what creates well-being, if not control, if not harnessing as much force as possible for the benefit of the separate self. Where does well-being come from? Well, if I'm not separate from you, if everything that happens to you is happening to me, then my well-being is attached to your well-being. And the more that I serve the well-being of all, the more well-being I will have myself. Sometimes people ask me, Charles, who are your heroes? Who do you admire the most? And they expect me to maybe say Gandhi or somebody big like that. Somebody who had a big platform, who created measurable changes that affected millions of people. And I do admire people like that, but even more, I admire the humble people who are doing the small, invisible things that our theory of change does not validate as being important. Our theory of change is a Newtonian theory. It doesn't recognize the power of the small, invisible acts of compassion. The woman who has a best-selling book and a big platform and is a movie star and a politician and a billionaire and creating big changes, that we can see. That makes sense in the story of the world, in the theory of change that we've received. But what about the woman who sacrifices all of those possibilities to take care of her aging grandmother every day, changing the bedpan, cleaning her up, going shopping for her, cooking her meals? I met a young man who volunteered at a center for handicapped young people, and there was a severely handicapped young man that he was taking care of, and this man could barely walk, could barely dress himself, could hardly do anything except when this young man was playing the guitar for him. And while he was playing the guitar and no other time, this man the handicapped teenager could walk and dress himself and do all of these things. And he spent a year playing the guitar for this young person. And when I hear that story, I know in my heart that this man was doing something important and significant. No more important and no less important than anything that anybody does on a big scale. But that knowledge, and so it became important to me to fit that knowledge, that heart knowledge, into a theory of the world. And I think that the story that I'm calling Interbeing offers a way to marry the logic of the heart with the logic of the mind. Because if you understand that anything that happens in one place, any change that happens in one place creates a field of change that allows the same thing to happen everywhere else, then you can let go of, when you understand that any action creates ripples through a matrix of causality that we cannot maybe see. When you really live in that, then you don't have to worry about whether it can go viral, whether it can scale up, who's going to find out about it, because you know that standing in this place, and I think it's really important to validate that, because most of us aren't going to do big things. Most of us aren't going to have a big platform. Most of us are going to live small lives of care, which from another perspective are actually very big lives. The lonely journey, crazy is over. Coming up for air in the sunlit world, then getting sucked down again by all the forces around us that say that you're wrong, that normal is normal, and that nothing's going to change, and that Kim Kardashian's butt is important. Like, because otherwise, why would it be in the headlines? And that it's important, and that you know the picture. And then getting dragged down, and then a year later, 2 years later, you come up again and get dragged down again. Well, now when we come up, there's somebody else who's holding us up. Because more and more of us are coming up more and more often, and we're creating this human mat in the new world where we're holding each other in this new place, holding each other in this new story. This is not a transition. This is not a transition that we can make by ourselves. This is not a transition we can make by ourselves, because we are not separate selves. Any human being that we judge as unenlightened is a mirror of something unenlightened in ourselves, and we will not be fully enlightened until that person is.